So Mayor, explain what we're doing out here.
Well, we are dealing with, this has probably got to be the greatest number of water main breaks we've had in recent memory. I think we're at about 60 right now in the city. So it's the next stage in this battle against this winter storm Vern. Our snow warriors have done a great job and have been out all week around the clock clearing our roads. And now with these frigid temperatures to follow up, we've got main breaks. We're here on the west side. We know there's another one close by in Neshoba, but they're all over the city. And so what we've got going on here today is another great partnership within the city between public service and power and water, because we really need the help of public service to clear the way for power and water to get to the source of the water main break, to be able to shut that down. And as you all know, it's a process, because then we have to bring in the other utilities before we can make those final repairs and get things back to normal. I'll let the experts talk a little bit about those details, but please, if there are issues in your neighborhood, please report them to 311. As I said, we've got 60 of these that are going on right now across the city. I don't think the temperatures are going to get warmer for a while. We got a frigid weekend ahead of us, so please report them as soon as you notice them, and we'll get teams out as quickly as possible. But this is going to be an ongoing battle for at least the next several days until it warms up a little bit. As you all know, these water main breaks generally happen if there's significant fluctuation in temperature. It goes from very cold to very warm and back and forth, or if we have sustained amount of frigid temperatures is when these things are most likely to happen. And so unfortunately, based on the forecasts, as you all probably are very well aware, there are going to be more of these over the next couple of days. So we're going to be working real hard, public service, power and water, to help make sure that our neighbors have access to get in and out of their neighborhoods. I know one of the reasons Neshoba was such a priority, I think we have a dialysis patient that lives over on Neshoba that needs to get to his treatments. These are, really important priorities for us so that residents can get to what they need.
One of the neighbors here told us this water main break happened on Monday, and she's emailed and called your office multiple times. Is 4.5 days an acceptable amount of time to fix a water main break like this?
Well, based on the temperatures and having over a foot of snow and the greatest snow event that we've had in 20 years, it's taking time. And that's why we have public service and power and water working together to make sure that we can deal with as many of these as possible. As I said, right now there's 60 right now throughout the city, and we're going to continue to work away on it.
She said her biggest concern was that she saw an ambulance try to come down the street, and it had to turn around because it couldn't make it through the water main break.
Yeah, it's why this has got to be our top priority, particularly as we work through the weekend. And this is impacting neighborhoods all over the city.
And what do you say to these neighbors, like this neighbor who's been calling, emailing, trying to get somebody out here to get this fixed? Can you understand their frustration?
Certainly can understand their frustration, and that's our frustration as well when you have the greatest snow event in nearly 20 years in sub-zero temperatures. Yeah, it's frustrating for all of us. I know it's frustrating for our staff as well, who want to get out here and fix these water main breaks and get people's lives back to normal as quickly as possible. And that's why this partnership with DPS and Power and Water is so important.
And what do you say to these neighbors who are calling and the crews aren't out here? When can they expect them to show up today?
They'll be coming as quickly as possible. As I said, there are 60 water main breaks throughout the city. I'm really proud of our employees. I think the employees at Public Service and Power Water, I'd put them up against anybody in the country. They're out here in frigid conditions, focusing on getting results for our neighbors. And so I appreciate what they're doing.
Have you authorized extra money for overtime or contractors to deal with these water issues?
Well, as you know, we authorized through emergency orders an additional $200,000 for snow removal over the last week or so. And certainly whatever Power and Water and Public Service need as we continue to deal with these 60 active water main breaks, we will invest and spend. We need people to be able, we need kids to be able to get to school. I believe everybody's going to be back in school next Monday, that is our hope and plan, and we need folks to be able to get to work and dialysis treatments and doctor's appointments at the grocery store and all the things people need to get to.
You've said all week that the snow warriors are making the roads passable. We're 5 days past the snowstorm. A lot of the buses still can't get into a passable neighborhood. When are they going to get clear enough for the buses to get in and out?
I think, based on what I've heard from the folks at DPS, most of the neighborhoods are passable. I think we're on our third run of the priority 3 residential areas. Obviously, in situations where there's a water main break, that's a whole different situation. But my understanding that for the schools the last couple of days, it was more about the frigid temperatures than neighborhood residential areas not being passable.
Do you expect a much bigger cost from having to use a lot of these very big construction equipment, diggers, and stuff like that?
Absolutely. This is unprecedented. This is unprecedented storm, right? You've got the winter storm, then you have very, very low temperatures for a consistent period of time. So it's going to take an unprecedented effort. That's what you have between public service and power and water, and it means we're going to have to invest some unprecedented resources. But we need the city to be open for business and for kids to get to school and people to get to what they need, and we're going to spend what it takes.
What resources are there available for neighbors like this who, she said she's been unable to leave to get food for herself or her dog. She's running low and thankfully able to hopefully get out soon. Are there resources available for them if they're
I think definitely through 311 and the Department of Neighborhoods, we can make sure we can connect them, whether it's the Mid-Ohio Food Collective or other partners that we have to get food, the folks the food or resources that they need.
I was going to ask, how old are these pipes? I mean, they got to be.
Is that a trick question?
Yes.
I'm gonna guess.
1950s.
So do they
Yeah,
need
looking
that
around
stuff?
at the neighborhood, that looks about right.
They need to be replaced. Money going to be put in the budget to repair.
Well,
these,
as you know,
so they-
probably our greatest asset as a city is our power and water system. It's an incredible asset worth, valued at probably billions and billions of dollars, and we've invested significant amount of resources into the upkeep of our systems. I'll let Ken maybe talk a little bit more to that, but I think the budget right now in power and water is both on the operating and capital side, a significant sum. Yeah.
And then
And as you know, as part of the bond package last year, in addition to a $500 million investment in housing, I think we had a similar number on the ballot for voted authority to commit to the new water plant and continuing to take care of the infrastructure that's part of the system.
And then in 2 weeks when we're here for all the potholes.
Yeah, it turns out street maintenance and power and water never stop. The seasons change, but there are going to be challenges, and that's why I'm so proud of these folks. Out here in these temperatures and these conditions, working together, putting our neighbors first. It is a significant challenge, and I'm glad we've got some of the country's best amongst our city workers leading the way.
Speaking with water and power, do you believe that any of these water main breaks have been avoidable, or is this just something that we're dealing with at this temperature?
Yeah, there's no way to speak to that at this point. I find it very difficult to believe that anything could have been avoided based on the temperature, the storm, the consistently low temperatures, and the amount of money and resources we invest in our system on an ongoing basis.